So today we are going to be making a shredded pork stir fry. Whole food, plant-based, healthy, no oil, but still super good. I've been kind of obsessed with like canteen food lately. You know, some of you have watched like what Japanese kids or what Korean kids have for lunch or for school lunch. It's always super delicious. So when I was looking at kind of like Chinese canteen food, Chinese lunch or like school food, this shredded pork dish seems to be a mainstay. It'll be interesting to see how we clean it up a little bit. I think that you'll really like it. So what we're gonna do for this recipe is there's kind of like 4 main ingredients. There's kind of like the meat or the meat analog and then 3 different vegetables. So I'm gonna prepare those first and then we're gonna make a sauce on the side. That's essentially what this shredded pork dish is. It is another type of stir fry. Instead of the pork, I have these soy chunks or soy strips. You could use anything. You could use tofu, okay? I'm just choosing to use that today. So I've taken these strips, you soak them in water, and then afterwards they plump up like this, okay? And it's actually a little bit big, so what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to just split them either in 2 or maybe in 4 if they are like a little bit big, so that I get them like in an even smaller size versus this. Okay, I will soak them in water first. Some people, you can soak them in stock if you want, but I don't want the whole meat to taste like the marinade. Like, that's not my point. Like, people who have eaten meat before, you like the original, like you like that the meat itself is somewhat bland, and then you like that it's surrounded or like coated by, you know, a sweet flavor or a salty flavor. That's why I soak them in water. If you want to be a little bit specialized, you can do water and a yeast extract that usually brings back, you know, some of the meaty flavor. Next, what we have, wood ear mushrooms. Usually you buy them dried. You can buy them fresh, but they're so easy dried. And then you just reconstitute it in some water for, you know, 10 minutes or so, and then they plump up. If you are in the grocery stores, sometimes they will come pre-shredded like what I have here. But otherwise, I will rehydrate the big pieces of wood ear mushrooms, and then I would cut it into strips. Very much like what I am about to do with my peppers. It really depends on what you're into. I've seen people use red peppers for this, but I'm gonna be using green peppers. And you can use the, you know, like the normal bell pepper, but I saw these at the grocery store. Sometimes bell pepper can be really fat and thick. So these ones, they're just thinner. They're not spicy. They are very much like a bell pepper, so. So next what I have is a carrot. So you don't need it to be that big. You only need half of it. But what I'm gonna do instead of slicing it is, if you have one of those graters, it's gonna be a lot quicker that way. And you just wanna get kind of strips like this, probably a little bit thinner, so I'm gonna have to adjust my angle here. So a lot of what I'm trying to do with our whole food plant-based series is, number 1 is to be avoiding a lot of the processed foods that we eat, you know, today, right? Because we're getting the diseases like Alzheimer's, like cancer, like heart disease, and a lot of that traces back to your food. Like, we don't think about it, but it traces back to your food. But 2, my second goal of us doing our whole food plant-based series is to try and incorporate a lot more vegetables into each recipe, but still have it taste good. So we have what? We have carrots, we have green peppers, we have some of the mushrooms this time, but I wouldn't see an issue with you adding in, you know, some sliced up leeks, and that would be really delicious too, and that wouldn't affect like the flavor or the texture. It would still be really nice. So I went ahead and I cut up the holy trinity. If you have the vegan dim sum cookbook, you know that that is ginger, green onions, and garlic. I am trying to get vegan dim sum to be like an electronic version as well, because some people from other countries have said it costs a lot to ship over there, and I had originally wanted just like a physical piece, right? Just because so much of what we do is online and it's like digital, and I really just wanted like a physical book. But I completely understand where people want a digital version, so be on the lookout for that. I will put it onto the community tab. I have been working on a new cookbook for actually a while. Subject matter is not going to surprise you at all. But we will talk about that later. Okay, so now that we have all of the vegetables, everything cut, I'm going to prepare the sauce, okay? Very easy sauce. Get a bowl. Okay, so first up, two different big sauces. One is Douban sauce. Douban sauce is pretty much Chinese spicy salty bean paste. So if I wanted to liken it to, like, let's say miso, I would say that doubanjiang is like a very robust, spicy miso, okay? That's that. If you don't have it, yeah, you take some spices, like take some red pepper flakes and whatnot, take some sriracha, mix it together with some miso. Maybe we can do a taste test on this afterwards, but it is pretty much that, okay? So douban sauce, doubanjiang. Second, miso. So when I'm doing whole food, plant-based cooking, I will sometimes, like if I'm lazy, I'll just put in a little bit of soy sauce because I don't have too much of it. But always a good substitute for soy sauce, a whole food plant-based substitute for soy sauce is going to be your miso paste. Technically for salt intake, you want to try to have 2,000 milligrams or under, which is right around 3 tablespoons of miso paste. Technically, let's put it at 2 tablespoons of miso paste a day, okay? So keep a lookout for that. This is not really a tablespoon, but this definitely is. So next, Shaoxing rice wine. So typically for whole food plant-based, what I've tried to do for things like wine is instead of like sake, I will put amazake, where it's kind of like the whole wine is in it. For something like this Shaoxing rice wine is supposed to provide like the flavor also to this dish. So I'm going to use it very much like I use vanilla, where yes, it is an alcohol. I'm going to kind of pretend like it's fine. But you can always omit this, or you can, it is like a strong kind of like pruny flavor, so maybe you could try to put some prune juice in it, but then because prune juice is going to be sweet, we're going to take out some of that sugar that I'm going to be adding in. So Shaoxing rice wine. Next is your sweetener. So this dish is a little bit, I think, like, it's not sweet, but it's on the sweeter end of things. So what I have instead of normal sugars, I typically use date sugar. Date sugar is kind of expensive. I think it's a specialty ingredient. So you can just buy some dates, chop it up. It will melt right into the sauce as you cook it. So completely fine. Next is like a black vinegar. The recipe does call for a darker vinegar, but if you don't have it, some rice vinegar, something like nice and like light. This dark vinegar is actually like kind of like a molassesy type vinegar. So it's a vinegar that's on the sweeter side. To thicken up this sauce, because it is a stir fry sauce, it is supposed to create that glaze around everything. Usually people will use a starch, like cornstarch, arrowroot, whatever. Any kind of flour that you have, it could be like buckwheat flour, whole wheat flour, that'll thicken things up. I happen to have some chickpea flour on hand. It is not as clear and pretty as starch thickens, but that is the problem with starch, is just like it is a thing that thickens, and yet there's like no color, there's no anything, and that is the problem with it, right? So I have some chickpea flour. So we're just gonna mix all of this together now. so there are no lumps. And then that will be our stir fry sauce. So first up is our Trinity, our aromatics. As usual, when we cook whole food plant-based, we don't use oil, but we use just a little bit of water to aid the whey. And the way that you would do this is on medium-high heat right now. And as the water evaporates, it will start cooking some of the aromatics, and then it is also able to brown. So we're gonna do that first, just about a minute or so. And then with whole food plant-based cooking, it's quite easy because everything is cooked. So I'm gonna add in my meat, and then I'll take this spoon. And then pretty much all of my vegetables so that it gets soft. The way that traditionally that you do it, this is actually quite a rich dish, is they would take slivers of pork and they would mix it with things like egg white and cornstarch, and then they would get it into like, essentially the pork would be covered with this mix of eggs and starch, and then they would put it into, you know, a fair bit of oil, fry that up, strain it so that you get nice crispy pieces, and then they would put everything back together, put the vegetables in last, and then add this sauce. So it is quite rich. The way that we do whole food plant-based cooking is just, we don't do that. But it's kind of, I'm looking to get the same flavor. Sometimes the texture differs, yeah, but we're looking to get kind of as close to possible without giving you, you know, the big diseases of the world. When it starts getting dry, I always have a little bit of water. It can be water, it can be stock, but because we have so much flavor in the coming aheads, I just add a little bit of water in. And so instead of kind of that sexy sizzling flavor, what you're going to end up getting is actually a lot of vapor. It's not as fun to cook with, but it is. I think you should just accept it. This is a better way of cooking. It's going to be a better way of eating. You will thank me now, but also in your old age. The carrots were kind of my main concern because they were a little bit harder, but because they're in strip form, it's quite quick to cook. I'm just going to add in the peppers and then also my wood ear mushrooms. So, okay. So I'm just going to cook this until it wilts down just a little bit. Very thick. The beans kind of thicken up everything. See that? Yeah, we've had to bring out the artificial like lights here too, because it's really started to get dark here. It's 7:30, but yeah. Okay, so I'm gonna be trying it for you all because you're always telling me, yes, you must try out the dishes, but I'll tell you what, it's been hours. It's been hours since I've been filming and prepping and all of that stuff. So that is why I don't like to eat it now, because I'm really tired and I just want to go and have some dinner and just eat. Anyways, I'm gonna try it out for you. Okay, so stop now for the thumb picks. Okay, so I have some rice here. Sometimes I do feel for white rice and like white, super carby, super, you know, short grain rice. What I do is I always mix it with some beans just to, you know, slow down that digestion. I'm gonna try this. I'm just gonna try it straight from the thing. Who cares? I love this bowl, by the way. I went to like a Thai restaurant and I asked them, I was like, oh my gosh, I love your bowls. Where can I find? That looks staged, but it's actually my first bite. Oh wow, that's very reminiscent of what I think this used to taste like. Oh wow. Yeah, so because of the kind of like the amount of date sugar that we added, this one is on the sweeter side. It's still like, there's still like all the spices and the things that we put in. So it's sweet and savory, but it's a little bit sweeter. And because of the vinegar that we added, it's almost like a sweet and sour as well. Yeah, actually the soy strips worked really well, but I could see this working really well for like a nice like smoked tofu that's like a firm, like super firm smoked tofu. That's gonna work really well here as well. I don't know, what am I supposed to do for you? Like, people always say, yeah, should eat. What else can I describe? I like the So I like the texture of the strips. Like sometimes you can have the exact same food, all of the ingredients are the same, but if you cut them in a different way, they taste differently, right? That's kind of like sometimes like zucchini noodles. Sometimes I feel that way. Although most of the time it tastes like zucchini. By cutting the strips like this, and we didn't cook the vegetables or anything too long, but it kind of has like a nice crunchy feel to it. And yeah, like just like the string texture makes a difference. It feels like crunchy and kind of stringy, but at the same time, you do get the initial spices from like the ginger. I had like a fresh piece of ginger, so that initial bit is spicy. It is savory, but of the three things, I would say it's sweet, sour, savory in the order of kind of the strength of the flavor. Sometimes, you know, like sometimes with these whole food plant-based recipes, they don't always taste the same or like very similar, but actually this, yeah, I wish it was daytime. It would look prettier, but yeah, that really works. I tend to like saltier, like more savory things, so I'd probably put like a little bit more either miso or soy sauce, but it smells really nice too. It is a bit spicy, both from, I think, really from the ginger, but that doubanjiang, the bean paste, the Chinese bean paste, the Chinese spicy bean paste that we added in, that contributes to some of that spicy flavor too. But I would not necessarily call this a spicy dish. Maybe I'm wrong, I don't know. But yeah, all right, well, so that's me trying out the food for you. Hopefully you enjoyed. Need more practice in this. Okay. I'm just really tired. Like, I don't want to try out food for you when I'm just really tired. So yeah, it's good. Hopefully you all enjoy and cook whole food plant-based. Do it for yourself, do it for your family. Don't get sick. I'll see you all again next time. Bye.